It is a land forged on the wild frontier between the old and new world, built upon a destiny of freedom and self-determination. Sitting on the westernmost edge of Europe, its lyrical green valleys bordered by soaring coastal cliffsides. It's a small island, but with a large influence, thanks to millions of immigrants who brought their traditions with them across the globe. And while the culture may feel familiar, if you dig past the surface, there's a brave new and old world, an emerald isle with scholars and saints, poets and politicians, stories and those who sing them. Two countries on one island, intertwined in history, mythology, and hope. This is what I came for, a rich land where every step reveals a new surprise, often hiding in plain sight. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Ireland. There's an enduring beauty of Ireland's stories. They are both true and then full of colorful myths. And those stories don't just power the present, they give life to the past. This country was settled relatively recently compared to other parts of Europe, just 10,000 years ago. Over the ensuing millennia, the arrival of different societies would shape its identity. Celtic tribes, Catholic missionaries, Viking settlers, and finally, the Norman invasion, bringing Ireland under the rule of Great Britain. This led to hundreds of years of unrest and outright rebellion, compounded by the Great Irish Potato Famine in the mid-1800s. In 1919, the violence against English rule exploded into a full-on Irish War of Independence, leading to the creation of two separate countries, the Independent Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. But now, with the battles ended, Ireland enjoys a peaceful present, marked by a growing population determined to secure a brighter future. And my journey, as with many travelers, begins in Dublin, the capital of the Republic of Ireland.
In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone.
As the old song goes, Dublin is a delightfully fair city and eminently walkable. It's also eminently drinkable. You won't go thirsty here. There are over 1,000 pubs scattered throughout the city, so you're never far from a place to bend your elbow and meet a new friend. In Dublin, the old and new coincide. Tech companies that flooded into the city in the 21st century, sitting not far from the libraries that preserve the works of legendary authors and poets, earning Dublin the title of UNESCO's City of Literature. While Dublin is a modestly sized capital city, with a population of roughly 500,000, on certain days, you wouldn't know it, 1/5 of Dublin's residents can be found here.
Peter, welcome to Croke Park. The capacity of this stadium is 82,300 people.
And you fill it?
So we'll fill this absolutely full to the gills. But what most people miss is what's up there.
Jerry McGarry is a former athlete who now works at Croke Park, the home of the Gaelic Athletic Association and its traditional Irish sports. Croke Park is actually a neutral stadium, meaning there's no home team. All teams play here as equals. There's been a stadium here since the late 1800s, and in 1920, it was the site of the Bloody Sunday Massacre during the War for Independence. In the 90s, a 12-year renovation project began to create the Croke Park of today.
Okay, Peter, we're nearly there.
That's what you said half an hour ago.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit more to go. The worst part is over. There we have it.
Wow.
This is the most magnificent view of Dublin City you're going to get. One thing you'll notice about here, Peter, there's actually no skyline in Dublin, no high-rise buildings. Because of that, for us, we can see all the way from the mountains all the way over to the sea.
Amazing.
The lack of skyscrapers is due to strict height regulations in Dublin. And while taller buildings have started to creep in, the centuries-old cityscape remains.
Well, it was worth the climb.
From this vantage point, you can see the past, present, and future of Dublin.
So they get to play out there. Huh, we get to look at this.
No, you get to play it too.
Play what?
This is hurling, practically unknown outside of Ireland. But along with Gaelic football, it's the heartbeat of Croke Park. Teams of 15 sparring to score through their opponents' goalposts.
Hurling goes back in Ireland to mythological times, about 2,000 years. If you're a very, very good hurler, they thought that that was very, very good training to be a knight and to be a warrior back in those days, and it is still the game of warriors.
And a game of volunteers. That's right, no one gets paid. Everyone is playing just for the pride of their communities.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
Today I'm getting a crash course in hurling from Dublin players Dara and Connor. And we're starting with the basics.
So, this is called?
It's called a hurl. We call it a hurl.
It's a hurl.
A hurl, yeah.
All right, let me guess. This is not a ball?
No, they call that a slitter.
A slitter?
Yeah, it's Irish.
Irish.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to hit the slitter with the hurl.
That's the idea, yeah, that's the
Starting to
idea.
get it now.
All right,
Yeah.
shall we try this?
Perfect.
All right, you go out there.
All right.
Okay. That was weak. Hold on, I want to try it.
Do you want to give it a go?
All right.
You're not going for a home run, right?
Of course I'm going for a home run.
Maybe if you shorten the grip a little bit, you might have a bit more control.
Okay, but then hold with two hands?
Hold with two hands like that, yeah.
I'll try it again.
Go for it again, go for it again.
Oh, that was pathetic.
If at first you don't succeed, bat again.
Oh. I got noise. All right, this one's going over your head. All right, that was great.
It's pretty good, it's pretty good. In real game, you have about 15 players trying to kill you for that ball.
For this.
Yeah, you're free to do whatever you want in the game. It's a war.
Yeah, you're on your own.
But to truly understand Ireland, you need to go northwest from Dublin, starting about 30 miles away, to County Meath in Ireland's ancient east, which was once the home of the High King of Ireland. And with kings come castles.
Castles are built for a number of reasons. One is to say, I'm here, and the other is to make sure that you stay here. You don't build castles in friendly environments.
David Gilroy grew up by the most intact castle in all of Ireland, Trim Castle.
Everywhere I've ever been in Ireland, it's castles followed by castles followed by castles. How many are there?
Well, some say there's up to 30,000 castles in Ireland.
30,000.
30,000. A lot of those would be ruins, obviously, but they look...
But this is a real castle.
This is the real castle. So this is the largest Anglo-Norman castle in Ireland. It was built in the 12th century.
With a location chosen deliberately along this important lifeblood of Ireland.
We're standing on the banks of the River Boyne. Since the start of global civilization 10,000 years ago, this river has flown along here. You look to that river, you look to that castle, you're not just looking at stones and water, you're looking at the lives of men and women.
And over 100,000 people come to Trim Castle every year to imagine those lives. But if you know a guy who knows a guy, then maybe you get a chance to see it from a different perspective.
You've seen Trim Castle from the ground.
I have.
And today we're going to take a different bird's eye view, going to bring you flying
In this.
in this.
On most days, you'll find Shay Party in the left seat of this Airbus 320, flying at 30,000 feet as a veteran pilot for Ireland's flag carrier, Aer Lingus. But today, he's piloting at a lower altitude, giving me a completely different look of the Boyne Valley.
There it is. See, just coming up as you see Trim Castle. Yeah. And as you can see here, it holds a very prominent, doesn't it, position.
I mean, it's hard to imagine we're flying over something that was started in the 12th century. I mean, think of the architecture, the design, the construction.
The physical construction.
They were cutting edge.
It's a whole different perspective from the air, not just in terms of the view, but in terms of the real history.
You see the circular field with the sheep?
Yeah.
So that is the Hill of Ward. That's where Halloween started.
Right
so
there.
The Druids used to have a festival. It was called Samhain.
On this hill, evidence shows that the Druids sent light to a large bonfire, and the Feast of Halloween was born.
What happens there during Halloween now?
Really, not much, because now, as you can see, it's active farmland.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is the ghosts come out at night.
The ghosts come out at night.
Okay,
absolutely.
just double checking.
Do you see the mound on the hill? That is the famous New Grange, UNESCO World Heritage Site. 1,000 years older than the pyramids.
This monument, built in 3200 BC, was designed so that one day a year, on the winter solstice, the sun would shine perfectly through into a chamber.
I mean, it's one thing to see it from the ground, it's another thing to get up here and then tell that story.
Yes.
And the one thing that comes into view from above, apart from Ireland's ancient east, and almost down into Ireland's hidden heartlands, in fact, it's the entire view, is that you're surrounded by green.
Well, if you ever wondered how Ireland got the name the Emerald Isle, just look out the window.
Look out the window, absolutely.
I continued heading north, and as you cross over the invisible border between countries, the majesty remains unbroken. Northern Ireland is just 1/5 the size of the Republic, but it is no less full of wonder. Volcanic fissures birthed these pillars of the Giant's Causeway, inspiring legends of its construction by a mythological giant. A swaying rope bridge draws adventurers looking to take an exhilarating stroll. And if you didn't know better, you might think this is a Photoshop brochure. But what you see is really what's here. The scenery often radiates images bordering on unspoiled beauty. Northern Ireland did have challenging times during what was known as the Troubles, which began in the late 1960s and continued through until the 90s. At the heart of the matter, on one side, the mostly Protestant Unionists, who aimed to keep Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom. On the other, mostly Catholic nationalists who wanted the country to rejoin with the Republic. Today in Northern Ireland, the streets are peaceful, but there are signs of remembrance. In the capital city of Belfast, these peace walls were built during the Troubles to separate the Catholic and Protestant communities. Now, they've become a canvas to honor a dark history, as well as a sign of hope for a fully reconciled future. Belfast has moved beyond the Troubles. It has a thriving city center, and the popular Titanic Museum highlights its history as a manufacturing town. And in addition, Belfast has earned the title of UNESCO City of Music because of a diverse performance scene that reckons with the city's turbulent past, but also offers a path forward.
I feel that music has helped to bring people together after a really difficult period of time. There's a kind of generational trauma that we're dealing with, and so creativity is a large part of healing in that.
It's sort of a unifying factor now.
And that's, I guess, why I'm still here.
Miles McCormick has lived here all his life and has become one of the city's most prominent performers.
Music has always been a big part of at least my life here in Belfast. Whenever I first got involved, I felt like I'd just fallen into a little family where I could meet someone who I'd never met before, but we had a common language.
Miles started out playing rock as a teenager, then expanded his skills into traditional Irish music. Like Miles, the music of Belfast keeps evolving.
The music scene in Belfast is always changing. When I was a teenager, all the gigs that I saw were metal bands. Now there's pop, there's rock, there's traditional music in every bar.
A strong music scene requires supporting new voices, and a driving force for that is the Oh Yeah Music Center, a nonprofit organization that provides resources for up-and-coming musicians to rehearse, record, and perform, including the rooftop, where some artists say they can draw inspiration from the spirit of the city.
We've slowly grown into the comfort zone.
One of the strong parts of reconciliation in Belfast was the music. It brought people together. It gave people hope. And for musicians like Miles, it gave them a future, not to mention an inspiration for his music.
Clusters of weeds creeping over the metronome.
Wow. Lovely. Comfort zone.
Yeah,
This is a comfort zone.
yeah,
Now I'm looking at an electric piano here.
yeah.
What are we going to do?
We're gonna do something.
All right, give me a key.
I would say G to keep it simple.
Yeah, you start.
I know it's been a while since you got a lion. I see you looking down, I'm still crying. So take my tiny hands and hold them in your giant ones so I can feel part of this giant world.
If you look into the history of Irish music, it actually defined each era, whether it was the famine, civil war, reconciliation, and ultimately, freedom. And I was lucky to play a small part in Belfast music.
We could be flying, part of this tiny world.
All right, man. I'm a two-chord wonder.
I mean, we both are. I think.
The music of Belfast is just the appetizer to the rest of Northern Ireland. An hour west of the city, you couldn't find a more striking difference in tone at the tranquil shores of Lough.
It's almost a shame that more people don't know about it. I mean, this is the largest lake in Ireland. This place is my whole being. My ancestry have all operated from this shoreline. 7 generations that I have traced back. Sure, everyone owns a farm.
Yeah, I do.
Gary McErlean and his wife Anne-Marie uphold the family tradition of fishing on Lough. And for them, it goes far beyond being just a job.
Something that's ingrained in fishermen in Lough. We need to be fishing. This is our lives. It's not a case of me simply doing this for a living. This is something that's in me. You couldn't drag it out of me.
Archaeologists have found evidence of people fishing this lake as far back as 9,000 years. And now, it was my turn.
Good day for fishing.
Now, I've caught many fish in my life, but today, we're going after something else.
This is drafting for eels in Lough.
We're going for eel.
Eel fishing, yep.
That's right, eel fishing. Lough is full of them. You've probably heard the legend of how St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland. But did you know the rest of the myth? Where did the snakes go? They were driven into this lake, where they miraculously became eels.
No, I'm going to throw this all out into the water.
Okay.
Gary tosses out a marker to guide the nets.
Which means basically it's drawn across the bottom. Eels are bottom feeders, so it's to the bottom we have to go to find them.
So the net will go to the bottom.
It'll go to the bottom, yep. This method hasn't really changed over the past hundreds of years. It's a very ancient method of fishing here in Lough.
It's a simple but effective method that he has perfected over a lifetime.
How long have you been doing this?
When I was 14, I was out here at 4 o'clock in the morning and then catching the school bus at 8 to go to school.
So you were fishing at 4 in the morning,
Yep.
catching the school bus at 8?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. The nets are coming up.
Oh, there we are now. Come here, Amory. Here, you take this.
I got this?
Put this over here, Peter.
If you're on the boat, you do more than just pitch in, because you're reminding Gary of the treasure that is Lough.
We're so used to it, we take it for granted. And then whenever good folk like yourself come down here and see it, you're in awe at the beauty. What's that, Peter? Lough eel?
Oh, these are eels. How many we got?
Probably have about 25 or 30.
Not bad for a morning.
That's good, that's good. If we had that every draft, we're going to happy.
Now that I've gotten a taste for eel fishing, it's time to get a real taste for eel.
So, Peter, I'm going to cut this into bite-sized portions.
You're calling that bite size?
Well, we're out there a wee while. I thought you'd been hungry.
Okay, I'm hungry. Big bites.
So, we'll get these on. You'll notice I'm not using oil.
But as the eel starts to cook, suddenly there's oil. Boy, that's a lot of oil.
It is a lot of oil.
But that comes right from the eel.
It's natural.
You can't get fresher than this. This is lake to table.
Okay, I'm gonna taste this right now. Oh, wow. That's good. I can eat this all day.
Our eels, without question, are a special delicacy. And the reason is the high oil count within the eel.
Mm.
And the lovely juicy.
It's great.
These eels are still in demand throughout Europe, but Lough and its eels actually mean something more to the people of Ireland.
If you go back to the time of serious hunger in Ireland during the time of the famine, it fed us. So it has been a crucial stretch of water, been there for us before, and it'll be there for us again.
It was time to leave Lough and head a short 20 miles west until the road narrowed and finally disappeared as I arrived here at this mystical setting.
This is a very ancient landscape that we have here with the 7 circles. It's 5,000 years old. We don't know who lived here.
The Bagmore stone circles were uncovered in the 1940s. While the answer to who built the circles may be lost to the past, there is evidence that this was a burial site. It's a mini Stonehenge, complete with stories of mythical proportions, as well as the Irish who still worship the gods. A site full of ritual and awe.
The 7 circles. They're as important to us as the rhymes that we say and the songs that we sing.
This is Dara Vallely, the leader of the Armagh Rhymers, a band of traveling folk performers from the nearby town of, you guessed it, Armagh.
Long before television was invented and had everybody charmed in a corner, sitting on a sofa, the Rhymers went from house to house, entertaining their neighbours, their friends. So you could imagine a dark winter's night, and we would approach the house. And as a captain of the play, I would say, "Open the door and let me in. We hope your favour, we shall win." And if there were any children in the house, they would hide under the table. I remember doing that.
Scared.
Oh, they were scared stiff.
As I was going to Lisbon, I met
And I can kind of see why. These frightening yet curious masks, made of straw, represent characters from Celtic mythology.
Okay, so that's when you come to the house. But what about here?
Well, come over here and I'll show you.
Okay.
The Rhymers come here, like their ancestors did for centuries, to commemorate life cycles and the changing of the seasons. But the only way to truly understand is to join in.
Put that on,
Okay.
and there you are. And join the circle now.
I was given the mask of Lough, the all-seeing Celtic sun god. A pretty big role for my first Rhymer performance. It's one thing to be a spectator, but before I knew it, it was forced audience participation.
How am I doing?
Swing your arms, shoulders back, head up, chin in, bellies out. And close your left eye. We have stories, we have music, we have dancing. The folklore and the ritual has been passed down to us. We feel that we are the keepers of the tradition. You are no longer a guest. You are one of us. Put it there.
I'm a rhymer?
You are a rhymer today.
The Bagmore circles are just one stop for the Rhymers as they carry this performance tradition throughout the country. And my journey has to continue as well.
I am a rambling Irishman.
Exploring an entire country is a daunting task, but Ireland lays out a path for you, the Wild Atlantic Way. It kicks off in dear Old Donegal, in the Republic of Ireland, weaving between the crashing waves of the coast and the mountainous countryside. The Wild Atlantic Way guides you through villages frozen in time and along expansive vistas that have inspired generations of artists and poets. At over 1,500 miles, it's the longest uninterrupted coastal driving route in the world. And if you head just east, the hills are dotted with a certain population. And in the village of Clonbur, the sheep outnumber the humans.
The main type of farming here in this part of the country is sheep farming. All our life is based around hill sheep farmings.
If you want a closer look, the locals will point you to Joe Joyce, a third-generation sheep farmer. But he doesn't do it alone.
As you can see, the terrain around here is very difficult to walk on. So for us to collect sheep off the mountains there, you need good dogs. The well-trained sheepdog is a must for any sheep farmer. There's no other animal, no other machine can replace the sheepdog for us here on the mountains.
Now, who's this?
This is Spot. This is my old guy.
You have a dog called Spot?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here now with Spot, I have a bunch of sheep up at the end of the field here in the distance. We're going to send Spot up to fetch them.
They're way up.
Yeah, we're going to send Spot up there to fetch them down.
Spot, you ready?
Hey, buddy.
And without hesitation, Spot goes to work.
And you can see how steep the ground is. So the fact that the dog goes up there rather than me having to go is much better.
You figured that out, huh?
Oh, yeah, we got that land. As soon as the sheep see him coming, see, they react. See how good his hearing is. Watch this.
Yeah.
Walk on. Walk on. See? You can hear that from here.
Wow. Now, if only more people were this obedient.
Stay, stay, stand, stand, stand. He'll do the same thing with over 100 sheep on the mountain he done with them 6 sheep.
So basically what you're saying is this is sheep traffic control.
Big time.
And if you're going to be a shepherd, you have to dress the part.
The traditional spec cap is what the Irish farmers wear here in the west of Ireland.
And I can see you got my size.
Well, we'll work on that another day. And now we're going to see if we can get Spot to go for you. To go left is come by. To go right, away. To stop will be stand. To walk means walk on wherever they're positioned.
Okay. With Spot at the ready, it was time to try out my sheep herding commands.
Away, away, away.
See, he goes out to the right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, come by.
Come by.
Come by.
Oh, wow.
Okay, come by again.
Come by, come by.
So we drag them back. So say come by again now.
Come by. Ooh,
there you are.
That was good.
So now he's got to know your voice. It took him a few commands.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, here they come again.
They stand.
Stand. Ooh, there they come.
I had never herded sheep before, but it was a fun moment of delusion, thinking I could actually control the animals, when in fact, I had very little to do with it. It was all about the dog.
Okay, I have another command.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Lamb chops. Oh, the dinner.
It works. I'm also very proud that I'm still here working on the land because our forefathers have fought and died to get possession of their own land in this country. So I'm just proud that I'm still here as a sheep farmer, and that's where I want to stay.
Hello, goodbye.
And just over these hills is a world unto its own. I told you Ireland has castles, but nothing compares to Ashford Castle. It's a very special place that brings with it over 800 years of history. Formerly the home of the Guinness family, it's now a hotel. But it's more than a hotel. It is in itself a way of life. How's this for an arrival? It's just the beginning indication of what to expect at Ashford. Anything you want to do, you can do it, and in style. From horseback riding to zip lining, archery, clay shooting, even falconry. And they offer one more experience. But first, you need to know to ask for it. And if you do, the folks at Ashford will send you down this unmarked road. But you won't get lost. Just listen for the music.
They say the harp chooses its victims and tortures it for life. I heard the harp when I was 10 and I was captivated. I just had to make that noise.
Accomplished harpist Paul Dooley has been playing all his life. And when you come here, you don't just listen to the music. You go into the workshop where you help make the instruments.
This is the iconic Irish harp. It probably goes back to 1,000 years ago or thereabouts in Ireland anyway, at least.
We're starting on the sound box, where the tone and volume are generated, which is made from one solid piece of a willow tree.
Right, you've used the plane before?
Yeah, in high school.
Okay.
Okay.
So start there and find the bumps first. Like you see there's a little bit of bump there. Take them out. And it's fairly straight now, but... So,
okay.
1, then no, put your back into it, as they say.
Yeah, I'm putting my back into
All
it.
right.
don't worry.
I make harps because when I began playing the harp, I couldn't afford to buy one, so I just began making them. Oh, that's good now. Looking good.
Yeah, it's getting smoother.
The harp has been associated with Ireland from as far back as the 12th century. Travellers to Ireland commented on how fabulous the musicians here were, and then it became the emblem of Ireland around maybe the 15th, 16th centuries.
And today, the harp can be seen on government documents, on beer labels. It's even reflected in the famed Samuel Beckett Bridge in Dublin.
So how long does it take to finish a complete harp?
A complete harp like that one, about 6 weeks maybe.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is I'm staying for dinner?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
But it's not all woodworking. I then got to play the instrument.
What it is just the white notes of a piano without the keys. You are the keys. Do you want to try a little bit of a tune? That was fantastic for a first try, but it's all wrong.
I'm sure it's all
As
wrong.
you know, you can't play the piano with just your thumb. Yeah?
That's true.
So it's same with this. You have to put all the fingers on.
It is a music that, if you let it, it transports you, not to a different destination, but to a different time, and allows you to immerse, to appreciate the hopes, the loss, and the dreams of a nation.
A genius.
Back on the road, 2 hours south, I made a must-see stop at the Cliffs of Moher in County Clare. In fact, some might say, for most tourists, it's unavoidable. The massive sheer walls run for 8 miles, plunging over 700 feet into the ocean below. This is the #1 tourist attraction in Ireland. And you can tell. And you can also count. On the morning I arrived, I spotted 50 large tour buses. For me, not the way to have a special moment in such a breathtaking, dramatic location. But if you know the right person to ask, you'll get a very different view.
And they say around here, from the top, you see the water, you see the sea. But when you come out on a boat like this, you see the cliffs in their true glory.
As a young man, Eugene Garahy made a living as a fisherman in these waters. But now he runs Cliffs of Moher cruises to share his ocean vantage point.
People viewing the cliffs from this angle really get immersed in the beauty of the cliffs. It's a completely different perspective.
Through the ages, the cliffs have inspired legends of mermaids, Celtic deities, and a lost sunken city. And people have been coming here for more than 200 years.
Peter, this is a mystical place. Right back to 1835, when Cornelius O'Brien recognized the beauty of the place and built this castle as a tourist attraction.
So before the tour buses, there were tourists?
No, well, you had tour buses, but you don't see tour buses at the bottom like this.
No.
But the cliffs have a more vital role.
The most important aspect of this area is that it's a UNESCO geopark. That is the protection of the wildlife and the birds in this area. It's the biggest bird sanctuary on the mainland of Ireland. We have 40,000 nesting birds, and you can really only see them from the water.
So we're in the right place.
We're in the right place, Peter. Right under the castle, we have Unveils Moor. It's a major sea stack and a bird colony. The erosion has cut away the stone between the sea stack and the cliffs. And it's a sanctuary for 5 or 6 different species of birds. And you'll see the birds have a different hierarchy. So at the top, it's the cleanest place to live. So if you're unlucky enough to be at the bottom, you get all this shit on top of your head. So the clever birds are at the top.
It's like life itself.
Life itself, Peter, yeah. Exactly, you nailed it.
You can see the geologic history with your own eyes. Layers of sandstone, siltstone, and shale, deposited more than 320 million years ago. And as I learned, the magnitude of these cliffs can resonate deep within a person's emotions, both in highs and lows.
It has a deep contradiction for different people in life. It's a really, really romantic place to visit, like we're doing this morning, but it also has tragedy. But sadly, there's a lot of people that decide to end their lives at the Cliffs of Moher. And as well as to match that, people get married every year at the top of the Cliffs of Moher, and they have all those romantic photographs. Also, people like to shake their ashes here at the bottom of the Cliffs of Moher.
So what you're talking about here is the entire cycle of life.
The entire cycle of life, yeah. And I might sound a bit emotional, but it does that to you.
And whether viewed from the water or from the land, the cliffs offer their own powerful perspective.
I suppose looking at the majestic cliffs here, I suppose it just tells us how small we are in the world and how instant we are. We're here and we're gone, but these cliffs go on for millions and millions and millions of years, so we can protect it. For the future generations, I think we leave them a nice legacy and not do too much damage along the way.
I hear you.
Heading south on the wild Atlantic Way, I passed what looks like endless farmland. And 30 minutes west of the city of Limerick, there's a place that will immerse you in traditional Irish life, hard work, and the threatened world of the family farm.
The family farm was the mainstay of life in Ireland, and especially small farms, such as Rigney's farm here.
Rigney's farm is a rare breed. Caroline and Joe Rigney started it as a working farm, and now to make ends meet, it's also a working bed and breakfast. But you don't just get a view of the farm. If you're staying here, you're working here.
You hear that noise?
Yeah.
They're really hungry. They want their dinner. Feeding them is allowing the guests to see the pigs in a very near to natural environment.
They didn't waste any time. Who's hungry? Who's hungry? I got most of it. They got quiet real fast.
Didn't they just?
But feeding pigs was only part of my marching orders.
Can't be in Ireland without talking about potatoes. We're going planting them. That is a seed potato. You could have eaten it or kept it for seed. I'll make a hole.
Okay.
And you just drop a potato into it.
That's it?
That's it.
Boom.
Simple as that. And in about 3 months, you can be eating beautiful Irish potatoes. Generations back, the potato was the main food source for the Irish people.
Potatoes were so central to the Irish diet that the famines of the mid-1800s resulted in 1 million deaths and another 1 million people fleeing the country. It puts into harsh perspective how fragile and how vital farming is.
You've got a really important job to do here. Hen has left us a couple of eggs. There you go.
Got it.
And then down here is a trickier one.
Because the hen's in there, and she's laid an egg.
And you're going to take it out. And she doesn't want to go out.
Ah! I'm glad you're wearing gloves.
Good plan. I will help you. She's just a little aggressive.
Really?
Just a little.
Okay.
Ah, sweetie.
Look at that.
You don't get any fresher than that.
The final task is not something that most people think of as farm work.
This wall has been here for about 150 years. In the condition it's in now, it's repair time to bring it back to as it was.
These simple stone walls have been the traditional way to mark the borders of farms in Ireland for hundreds of years. But someone's got to build them, and it's all got to be done by hand.
That one there, that piece looking out.
You've got this figured out like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. Practically all the stones have a job.
But many of the folks who come to Rigney's are almost compelled to help rebuild that wall.
it probably would stem back to their own family history as well of where they came from. To see maybe some of them would have Irish roots, and it would go back as far as before the wall was built, and it all stems on from that, and they can see how it's done and partake in how it's done.
I don't know about any Irish roots, but even helping with a few stones on that wall made me feel closer to Irish history. For me, when it comes to Ireland, my favorite direction has always been southwest, as far as I can go, to Port Magee.
Port Magee, you're my treasure, you're a gem beyond measure, your magic will ever endure.
Named after an 18th century smuggler, Port Magee is the quintessential small fishing village, the perfect place to find a pub at the end of the day. And you never know what's waiting for you behind the door.
A typical session is spontaneous. It's not organized. People just gather together and they sing together, they dance together, they play together, they socialize together in all ages from 5 years old up to 80 years old.
Gerard Kennedy is the owner at Moorings Restaurant and Pub. And these music sessions aren't just a way to blow off steam. They're a way to keep traditions alive.
It's all about passing it down. These are songs that are there for hundreds of years and tunes that were written hundreds of years ago. So they're being passed down from one generation to the next.
If you're at a session, you won't just be sipping a pint and watching. You're gonna get involved. So don't be surprised when music literally gets handed down to you.
I'm going to show you how to play the bodhrán. You put your hand in here in the back, and you get that like a pencil. Up and down, up and down. Perfect, perfect.
Am I doing okay? You're doing okay.
And if you think you can just sit and learn, think again. This traditional dance is called Shoe the Donkey. Irish have been doing this two-hand dance as long as anyone can remember. I dance side by side with my partner, holding right hand in right hand, left in left. As you can see, talent and agility are not requirements, but spirit and passion are, and you better have plenty of that. As small and close-knit as Port Magee is, some of Ireland's communities are even more hidden, available only by ferry. They publish a schedule, but you aren't always bound by it. The locals often call ahead, and that's when you get to go to Cape Clear, 8 miles out. It was one of the last places immigrants saw as they headed west to America by ship. Some of them might have thought of it as the point of no return, when in fact, the island is a place, once you get to know it, you long to return. It's a place where everyone knows everybody else. And with 10 minutes of your arriving, everybody knows you.
At the moment, we have 100 people living on the island.
Only 100?
Only 100. Unfortunately, we're still suffering from the last Great Depression, by which I mean the Depression of 1929.
Wow.
And up until that point in time, this was an extremely prosperous island, and that's when the fishing industry declined on this island.
And so did the population.
And so did the population.
Seamus O'Driscoll is one of the few residents on Cape Clear, an island that feels like it comes from another time and place. It's only 3 square miles, and Gaelic is the primary language. There's only one small store, and everything comes in via boat. Even children take a boat to go to the mainland for school. On Cape Clear, you don't have the conveniences of the modern world at your fingertips. But in their place may be something much more meaningful.
It's an incredible place to live. It has a great sense of community, and it just has a wonderful quality of life.
Now, no police department?
No, no need for a police department.
Really?
I can tell you that we've gone on holidays on many of occasions, and we leave the doors open so the postman can put the post on the table.
There's no fishing industry here anymore, but in the last couple of years, something strange has happened. Cape Clear is actually producing something. It's not agriculture, or high-tech, or even light manufacturing. They're actually making gin.
People have tried various types of industries on the island, but we know from our history that the things that worked most and worked best on this island were things based on the natural resources.
I knew the main ingredient would be a local plant, but I wasn't expecting it to be seaweed. And with so few people on the island, they're only too happy to ask for help.
It wasn't meant to be kelp at all. The original plan was to use some of the plants from the island. We tried hundreds and hundreds of plants, and we were making very fine gin, but we weren't making an exceptional gin. And that's when we started looking at the seashore.
And this is right in front of you all along?
It was right in front of us the whole time. This is actually very nice seaweed, and that brings the sweetness, a hint of saltiness, and the freshness of the sea to the gin. It's very, very good quality today. So this is going to make excellent gin.
I only work with high-quality kelp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once the kelp is trimmed, it's taken inside to dry.
So basically, we need to just spread it out in the racks like this, and in about 24 hours, this is going to be beautifully dried.
Once dried, the kelp pieces are broken apart and bagged, added to the pot, and distillation can begin.
Well, this is a kelp distillation, and we've been distilling since this morning.
The whole process takes about a week to turn kelp into gin, and then it's ready for bottling.
One more, here we go.
Keep them coming, Peter. Keep them coming.
Sláinte.
Well, thank you very much.
That's smooth, isn't it?
Quite. Nicely done.
Very nicely done.
It's these quiet moments, like sharing a drink with a new friend, that show the real community of Cape Clear and why it's so worth preserving. It's almost inescapable that if you spend any amount of time in Ireland, you could begin to think like the Irish. You could begin to drink like the Irish, dance like the Irish. In fact, you might even believe you are Irish. And there's a good chance 1 in every 10 Americans have Irish ancestry. So you know what's next. I had to check out my roots. I returned to Dublin to look for answers at EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, dedicated to telling the story of those who fled Ireland during the Great Famine. Like every museum, they have a gift shop, which you know I usually avoid. But if you pass through here and find this door on the right, you can start to find your own history at the Irish and Family History Center.
So what do you need to know?
I need to know everything.
Dr. Patrick Roycroft is a genealogist, and he's accustomed to international travelers walking through his door.
The Irish have spread all over the world. So people come here from South America, North America, Australia, Europe, everywhere, because they want to know their Irish ancestry. So, Peter Greenberg.
Right.
Now, who was your father?
He was Sidney Greenberg. Patrick got as much as he could from me, but the rest was up to him to discover.
How far back can you go?
That depends. That totally depends on the records.
So he sent me on my way, and Patrick got to work.
You always start with the person themselves and work backwards. So I start with Peter, I get details on his parents and grandparents, and from then I see, okay, looking at the dates, who can I find on US censuses? From there, you can work to birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates, emigration, immigration, police records, you name it, we can find them.
And after a few days of digging, Patrick asked me to meet him, only this time, not at his office.
Welcome to the Jeannie Johnston, Peter.
Wow.
And this ship has a fascinating story to tell. The Jeannie Johnston, it represents the type of ship that 1 million people left Ireland from during the Great Famine. 1 million people had to emigrate or die because it is the only ship that didn't have any deaths on it while crossing the Atlantic from Ireland to America.
And now it's moored safely beside the Emigration Museum. How appropriate a place to finally discover if I was indeed Irish. And in the captain's quarters, all will be revealed.
Been doing a lot of research on your family tree. We have some very good news. You've got Yiddish, and you have Russian, and you have Ukrainian, and you have Latvian ancestors.
Wow.
The bad news is you have no Irish in you whatsoever, unfortunately. But on your mother's side, was a guy called Elias Root Beadle. And he is the only member of your entire family who ever, apart from you, who's ever set foot in Ireland. He was a Presbyterian minister. He travelled very widely and internationally. So in 1878, he landed in Queenstown, which is modern-day Cove in County Cork. So he's the only person of your family who actually set foot in Ireland. But that's not the only Irish connection, because he also employed female servants from Ireland.
Of course he did.
And he was a very good boss to them. He was excellent.
Patrick found a lot of family trivia, but alas, no Irish.
That's it. Your green in your name is as close to Ireland as you get.
I'll take it.
Good man.
But as I discovered, I didn't need Irish roots to actually start to feel Irish. And with my time here drawing to a close, I decided to go for one last walk, wandering the streets of Dublin, maybe like a James Joyce character. But no deep thinking here. Instead, a reflection of what a remarkable journey I'd had, almost overwhelmed with culture and history. I learned where ancient rituals were born.
So what you're telling me is the ghosts come out at night?
And where they are still practiced today. I tasted Ireland's natural abundance.
I can eat this all day.
And played a small part in rebuilding and preserving its history, and also helping a community to survive. From trying to master the national pastime,
all right,
to crafting its national symbol.
Genius.
I saw the country from a whole new perspective, and I explored an urban center where the percussion of old turmoil has been replaced with real music. And so, I took one last look on this well-traveled bridge above the river moving through the heart of Dublin, flowing from Ireland's past into its future, carrying the soul of the people, and a land on the precipice of a never-ending dream, calling out to be discovered once again. This is Hidden Ireland. Poland has existed, almost since its birth, at the cutting edge of history. A sort of ground zero for invading countries. Because of its geographic location, it was first blessed by old kingdoms, and then cursed by new rulers. And its people always seemed to struggle on the threshold of a dream. For more than 1,000 years, Poland was less a beautiful destination of choice than it was the target of epic battles and a constantly changing set of borders. And only in recent years, as the country was finally allowed to catch its collective breath, has it become not just an enduring symbol of survival, but one of success. And still, while more travelers are now starting to explore the real beauty of the country, many, if not most, of its great experiences and stories remain undiscovered. And for more than a millennium, Poland's topography has remained an endless series of surprises, almost always hidden under the shroud of conflict. The spectacular and unexpected seacoast of the Baltic, the forests, the Great Lakes of Missouri, and the stunning high Tatra Mountains to the south. I'm Peter Greenberg, and I went on a special journey to rediscover Poland through some of these lesser-known treasures. And in the process, that's a good one, reveal a brave, new, accessible world. So welcome. Welcome to Hidden Poland. If you're traveling to or through Poland, you gotta start with a castle. Not just one, many castles. Most people don't realize it because they just don't look at Poland quite this way. Before Poland was Poland, it was tribal, followed by a series of monarchies and kingdoms. And you know what happens when you have a kingdom? You've gotta have a castle. It's required. And why do you have a castle? To fortify yourself, to protect the kingdom. And when you think about it, just about everybody, other than me, has invaded Poland. Not once, but multiple times. And then they marched and defended that territory. Many travelers might know about the Malbork Castle, built in the 13th century by the Teutonic Knights, and the massive Wawel Castle in Krakow, complete with all the trappings of royal warfare and the Polish crown jewels. But most people don't know about the Choka Castle in southwestern Poland, near the borders of Germany and the Czech Republic. It was built in the middle of the 13th century to protect the Czech border. It's been home to kings, dukes, and eventually the grand residence of noble families. And during World War II, like much of Poland, the castle was looted. The last private owner had it from 1909 to 1945. And when the war ended, it was essentially vacant and in disrepair until 1952, when the new owner came in. That was the Polish Army. And today, it's in civilian hands under the supervision of the Ministry of Defense. Anytime you want to experience a monument, a historic building, or a religious shrine, it's all about getting there early in the morning. And this isn't just any castle. It's really a rather unusual B&B. It's a hotel. And so my MO works perfectly in this situation because you get there the night before, then you get up early, and you see it right away. No distractions, no cell phones, and no selfies. And it's an opportunity to have the time to immerse myself in this piece of history. Much of the initial design, fixtures, and furnishings of the castle remain today. And everywhere you walk, you look down, you look around, and you look up, and you see history. Every square foot of this place is history. Today, the library contains roughly 27,000 books, but from the looks of things, it might be a safe bet that the last people who ever looked at any of these were the Polish Army. You will also see a very, very, very long table, as befits a castle, of course. Today, in a touching sense of irony, it's used by the College of Wizardry. It's a children's program conjuring up young Harry Potters. And speaking of a bit of wizardry, like any good castle, it's got secret passageways. About 14 that we could count. Another 40 that folks think are still there. And secret passageways were used when the castle was invaded, to escape, or at least to attempt to escape. One of the more challenging ways to see the castle is to get up to the tower from the inside. This is definitely not a stairway for those afraid of heights. It's a narrow, winding staircase of more than 100 small steps. You better bring a flashlight. And in my case, I use my cell phone light. Hold on tight, and it will take you all the way to the top. And once you get there, it's worth it. It's truly the bird's eye view of the entire region. And just as I predicted, the castle gets invaded again, this time by German and Polish tourists. Nothing against them, but I have a certain bias against crowds. In my case, how did I deal with it? I didn't just walk out of the castle, I basically elevated. I took a balloon. Good morning.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I've slept in the castle, I walked around, but from the perspective of looking down on the castle, it's nothing short of breathtaking. Wow. Ace balloon pilot Krzysztof Zappart was the commander, and he also happens to be part of the champion balloon team that won the America's Cup in 2019. Flying from Albuquerque, New Mexico, all the way to Ontario in Canada, over 1,600 miles non-stop. That's pretty amazing. Every time I go in a balloon, I'm always amazed at how quiet it is.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Chris, you know, perspective is everything for a supposedly small country. From up here, it looks pretty big to me. It does.
Really?
How big does this look? It's big. Looks can be deceiving. It's actually not that big at all. Can you see Germany from here?
I think yes. That windmills is in Germany.
That's
All
close.
right, yeah.
That's
Really
Germany
close.
right there.
Wow.
What's special about Poland to you?
For me, independence for many, many years. 30 years ago was dark, completely dark, because Poland was hard time with Russian politics. 40, 50 years ago in Poland we learned just the Russian language. Now it's full polar country, completely different. If we flying high, higher and higher, the politics passed away. For us, is no differences, no political problems. It's completely free for us.
So ballooning for you and for Poland is really an expression of freedom.
I think it's a freedom. It's a really freedom. Ballooning is my freedom. Ballooning is the possibility, giving me possibility to living free and watching free all the world.
Oh, that was easy.
Back to the ground.
All right, man. That was great.
Thank you.
Way to start the morning.
Yeah.
Way to start the morning. One of the coolest parts of Poland is hidden in plain sight, the Masurian lakelands. And you'd better like water. Here's the real surprise. More than 2,700 lakes are here. But the smart play is to come to Lake Śnieżny, Poland's largest lake. 14 miles long, 8 miles wide. You gotta get up early and get there early, when it's quiet and no one's around. Are you from here?
Yeah.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
Wow. So you've been all your life on the water?
Mostly.
Ask ahead of time, and you'll most likely find a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy like Bartok Wuszków. And he'll take you out on the lake for a different experience. And once you get on the boat, don't forget appropriate attire. Then it's time to start the really old, cranky 10-horsepower diesel. Which means that if you're gonna go faster than 7 knots, the engine will probably blow up. Cool.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. What's really interesting about this area is that as we're heading out to the open water, it looks like there's no way out, and you have to find the secret way there, the way that only the locals know how to find, until it just appears in front of you. Quiet. It's nice.
This is the best.
It is. It's about having an experience where you can open your mouth, exhale, think, share information with others, and not be with some elitist museum guide. Because in reality, you're in a living museum, and you're part of it. And so within about 6 minutes of pushing back, we were in deeper water, maybe 18 feet deep. And then it got even deeper, up to 90 feet. Our goal this morning was modest, to catch about 50 pounds of fish. But I'm reminded that they don't get replaced naturally every day. So the area has always been on the verge of being overfished. So what happens is the local communities send out boats all the time to reseed and restock the lake, so there's always a plentiful supply.
You can see by the color of the water. It's not so deep over here. Right. The warmer the color is, the water is more yellow.
The yellow of the water?
Yeah. Yep.
As we approached our fishing destination, I noticed that there were no nets on the boat. I figured we were on our way to casting out our nets. But it turns out the technique they use here is called gill netting, because of the way the fish's gills get caught in the net. So what they do is place a series of nets strung between poles marked with flags. The best kind of fishing is when the fish wait for you.
Okay, so you will see.
There we go.
We have first fish.
I saw it. A little one, a baby one.
Yeah.
How long are these nets in the water for? When did you put them in?
It's 5 p.m.
Yesterday.
Wow. Because the water is cold.
Yeah.
And if anything catches, it's a great possibility that it's going to be live till morning. If you put it now, and some fish will catch now, the water is too warm and they will be dead till tomorrow for sure.
Here we go. No, too small?
Oh.
Too small?
Yeah, too small.
Too small. There's a big one. There we go. Now we're talking. We got lucky. We got perch, we got pike, and we got sander, and a lot of it.
This is a skill you need to have to put the fish, especially this one from the net. Yeah.
Whoa, now we got one. It's a pike?
Sander.
A sander. Got the fish in his mouth. Cool. I've been fishing since I was about 6 years old, but I never had the chance to go net fishing. So when he handed me the reins, I loved it. Here we go. That's a good one.
A to nie jest szczupak?
Whoa. The boxes were now loaded with fish. It was time to head back. And anytime I can be on the water, that's when I get to embrace my freedom, my innocence, and my youth. And so for a very brief period of time that morning, I got to fantasize that I'm still 6 years old and catching fish. The reality is, I'm not 6 years old, but I was catching fish. It was now time to find out if Bartek knew another guy who knew a guy, and it turns out he did. All right. That was a good job. We grabbed the fish and headed about 20 minutes away to a restaurant in the tiny village of Głodowo. And that's where I met Bartek's guy, Milosław Gaworin, the local master chef. He was happy to take my fish right into the kitchen, and that brought me full circle to the whole experience. Nothing fancy here, just basic ingredients, a hot stove, and few words. All right, so now what?
Sit.
Okay. Wow, cool.
8.
Okay. Then he served the food. Sander, perch, and pike. We didn't speak a lot. He didn't speak English. I didn't speak Polish. But we found common ground. We spoke fish. Pretty good. Great. We did it. We did it. See? It's about 87 miles southwest of Warsaw, and most visitors to Poland never see it. And those who do often can't pronounce it, and I'm one of them. It's spelled L-O-D-Z, or Lodz. Wrong. It's Łódź. But this is a surprisingly fascinating place. Not just because of its history, but how it's reinvented itself. It's also a young city. In the 19th century, it was the country's leading center for textile production, meaning lots of factories and mills. But during World War II and after communism, the city fell into disrepair. Today, Łódź is in a rebirth, claiming Europe's longest pedestrian thoroughfare, checking in at over 2.5 miles, and the world-famous Polish National Film School, which gives the city the nickname Hollywood. But what makes this city special is what they've done with all those bleak old factory and communist apartment walls. What's remarkable about this city is that you've turned Łódź, that's the current pronunciation, right?
Yeah, correct.
Into a complete open-air public art gallery.
Yeah, that was the aim, from the beginning.
And the beginning goes back to 2009, when Michał Brzezinski, organizer of the Urban Forms Foundation, set out to improve the current image of the city by promoting independent art projects in Łódź's public spaces. How many different artists from around the world come here?
I would say around 50. I had the honor to organize over than 50 walls. I was working with the people from Brazil, from States, people from China, Australia, Russia. But the quantity is not my point. The quantity is not the aim. From the beginning, the most important thing for me is the artistic quality.
Leave it to the artists to reshape, re-envision, and yes, literally repaint the city in the most colorful way.
So basically, one of the walls is just behind us. You can take a look right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most famous ones that you can see. It was done in 2012.
And everything is symbolic here. You've got the bird cage on her head, there's a feather there, a bird on her finger, and the hat on the bird.
The title of this work is Primavera, so it's spring, but I guess it's your own way, it's your own thing to interpret it in your own way.
This is a city that reminds me at every turn that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And at every one of these art installations, the beauty of it is that no one, I challenge anyone, to give you a unilateral, across-the-board definition of what each piece means. You can't. And I think that's intentional. You take away from it whatever you want. And the symbol of each piece, probably intentionally misleading, which makes for, guess what? A conversation. So if you're going to Łódź, be prepared to have a lot of conversations. Because on every street corner, what you end up walking away with is, so what does this mean to you? And there's no one answer. And when you think about it, that's the beauty of it. Now, I pronounce it Łódź, you pronounce it Lodz. Which one is it?
Łódź is the right one, but I'm not sure if...
How close was that?
Yeah, I would say 4.5.
Out of what?
Out of 6.
Oh, okay. Basically, everywhere you walk, you're seeing stuff.
Yep, it's directly in the city center.
It's a big one.
Yep, one of the biggest.
And what's it called?
The title of the piece is Love Letter.
So she's sitting in the bathtub, I guess, and she's writing a love letter, and the heart's upside down.
Yep, as you can see.
That's not a good love letter.
Oh no, it's your type of your.
No, it's my type of love letter. It's like goodbye.
The artist is from Spain. You can see the signature of the artist on the right corner. Aris.
How long did it take him?
If I remember correctly, it was around 9 days, but we got 1 day break because of the rain.
A rain delay.
You are in the public space, so the weather and all those circumstances is something natural.
And before this is just another blank wall.
Exactly, like the others.
The history of street art in Poland goes back decades, when the people and their art were under communist rule. Most of it was propaganda. It was one message, from one source, leaving no room for imagination or dissent. Communist slogans, followed by branding of state-run companies, followed by the art representing frustration. And then solidarity and independence came to Poland in 1989. Today, The art in the city is trying to say that the new Polish identity is very individual and not collective in any way. And that's an important distinction for this country. It marks a huge turning point. There's no one-dimensional thinking going on, at least none that I could see.
So what's special about this piece? What's special about this piece? I would say that it's the unique technique that the artist is using. You know, he's using ink, and he's putting the ink on the wall with a very, very thin brush. And right now, I have to admit that it's one of the best pieces in the whole city.
And the title?
Sentir, in Spanish, it means to feel.
To feel. To me, it means the heart still beats, the butterfly still flies, and the tree still grows. And somebody, hopefully with goodwill, is watching over all of us. All right, that's my interpretation. What the hell do I know?
Tell me about this building. It's more like a sculpture, like a relief. It was done by 1,300 metal bars stick directly to the surface of the wall.
They were pounded in.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, it's more like a 3D object. It's a spacious thing. And the name of it is cisza.
Which means what?
In Polish, it means silence. The really cool thing, because it's working with the sunbeams, you know, the sun is creating the shadows out of the metal bars, so it's a little bit different.
It's always changing.
Exactly.
It's not the Bahamas, nor the Mediterranean, not even Maui. Nope. This is one of Poland's great hidden gems. Welcome to Hell. Really. The 22-mile Hell Peninsula is Poland's northernmost point, separating the Bay of Putsk from the Baltic Sea. And the town of Hell is located at the tip of that peninsula. It's your typical quaint seaside village that dates back to 1198 as the center of the herring trade. And back then, herring put Hell on the map. In fact, once a year, the locals even become herrings and wade in the peninsula's shallow waters for 5 hours along a 6-mile stretch in an event called, appropriately, the Herring March, celebrating the history and legacy of the fish. But these days, the herring business is no longer a major economic driver. Today, the real attraction of this area is the miles of white sandy beaches and untouched sand dunes that have become a major destination for weekend beachgoers. And what you wouldn't expect on the cold Baltic Sea is that it has quickly become one of Europe's best kite surfing spots, mainly because of the perfect wind conditions and those endless shallow waters. And for the uninitiated, kite surfing combines windsurfing, surfing, and paragliding. For me, it combines surfing with orthopedic surgery. And one of the best is Mateusz Jacino, who's been kite surfing for 8 years and now trains others in the sport. Mateusz once held a corporate job in the city, but the laid-back beach lifestyle fit his personality perfectly.
At the beginning, I was only like simple instructor working for somebody. So I'll start to launch our own business. Everything is good. We are happy. And yeah, I don't need too much like from my life. Like I'm never gonna be like a rich person because it's not about the money. It's about the, you know, feeling what is in your heart, what the nature can give it to you. And that is, for me, is the most important thing actually. Poland is one of the best places, I would say, for kite surfing because the spot is super easy. It's like shallow water and no sharks, no jellyfish, no rocks, no reefs, so what could be better, you know? The weather is today is beautiful. We got sunny weather. It should be a little bit more windy. So, like I said, the worst day with the kite surfing is better than the best day in the office. So I'm still happy what I'm doing, and I'm still happy inside actually.
Once you get out of the major cities in Poland, you're really going back in time, whether you like it or not. You deal with old-growth forests that date back centuries, and they've been remarkably well preserved, having also survived a number of wars and invasions. This is the Białowieża Forest, located on the far eastern edge of Poland, right on the border with Belarus. Because of its proximity to the former Russian territory, preservation of the forest can be attributed to Polish monarchs, and later to the Russian Tsars, who used it for their own private hunting grounds. And if you ever wanted to do some time traveling, there's a train that will take you directly to the time of those Russian Tsars. Welcome to Tsarska Hotel and Restaurant. It's a passion project by Michał Drinkowski, and one that you'd never expect to find here.
Absolutnie nie przypadek.
It was an accident I came to the Białowieża with my family to rest for holidays. We were about to leave the next day, so we decided to go for a long walk, and we found this place. I knew nothing about this place. That is why I was completely surprised and fascinated with that place. When I came back to Warsaw, I started doing some researching information about this place. Who owns it, and is it for sale? It was, so I decided to buy it. I've also changed my life completely. I've sold all my goods, all of my properties, to invest in this place, and also to move here with my wife and whole family. I never thought I would be a restorer.
To truly appreciate Michał's work, you have to get a little history lesson. It was built by Tsar Alexander III as a massive 120-room hunting lodge in 1889. 8 years later, Tsar Nikolai II, who happened to be the last Tsar, had a railway line put in for his guests to visit the hunting grounds. And eventually, Michał bought it from the Polish state.
The place where we are right now used to be a railway station between 1903 and 1973. After 1973, the station was not that popular anymore, and it was closed because of economical reasons. I bought this place in 2003. I restored it and adapted it as a restaurant.
Since every railway station has to have trains, Michał has been going around Poland, collecting, restoring, and then bringing them back to Tsarska. He converted this stationary train into a luxury parlor hotel room.
Nice. Really nice.
And as you can see, he makes sure his guests continue to have a Russian period experience. And close to the train is the water tower, a throwback to when steam engine trains needed those big water tanks. It's now converted into luxury apartments as part of the whole restaurant hotel complex. In Michał's kind of open-air train museum, he actually has one that moves.
This is one from 1936, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, and Adolf Hitler used to travel by this train.
Porsche? And then Hitler?
Yes, the Porsche famous car designer, and this Adolf Hitler incredible history.
This I gotta see. This is the train that moves, and I have to admit, it's a little creepy, but let's just say it's part of the experience. So how did you know that this was Hitler's train?
There are many proofs that it was Hitler's train. You can find many photos on the internet. This carriage was very unusual, distinguishing, and very modern. Can you see this element? At that time here were no other carriages that has this neck for opening the window. Made like this. It was made all together in one piece with the window frame.
Wow, that's how you know. Some people insist that Hitler came through here. Others argue that's a lie, And still others believe he rode on this train right to this station. No one really knows, but it makes for a pretty good story, not to mention a pretty good ride. And though the train doesn't go very fast or very far, you can't escape the fact that history happened here.
Białowieża Forest is the place very well known for the Middle Ages. In the 18th century, Poland lost their independence because of Russia, so Russian emperors used to explore this place. That is how the place was built in 1887. Then they built the railway station in 1905. The land was always owned by the kings or emperors. Even today, it's also property of the Polish state. Białowieża Forest is the place where bison live in the wild. It's the only place in Europe where bison survive. You can meet bisons here every day.
But the bison is no longer hunted and thankfully isn't on the menu. But nevertheless, we ended up back in the hunter's room for some traditional and uncomfortable regional specialties. I mean, I've heard of farm to table. I'm looking at wall to table. We have the boar's tongue, the ever-popular deer tartare, batting third, the duck hearts, that's right, duck hearts, and batting cleanup, salmon blini. I think I'm gonna go for the salmon. That's what I'm taking. And if you're wondering if this place is still haunted by the Tsars, let's just say I feel their presence. At first glance, something is not right. A boat moving slowly on the grass. Trolley cables in the water. What's going on? There's only one way for me to find out. Hop on a boat. And that's where I met Michael Gannon, an Irish expat who virtually lives on these boats and knows just about everything about what they call the Elbląg Canal. You picked a great day.
Yeah, the weather is on our side. What more can I say?
Oh, there's a lot more you can say.
Okay, right.
Located in northern Poland, the Elbląg Canal goes from the unpronounceable Lake Jeziorek to Lake Druzhno, a distance of about 50 miles. The canal, a singular feat of engineering, was completed back in 1860. And just like the Panama Canal, it has a water level difference. These planes take you over 5 levels, carrying boats up to 50 tons, reaching a height of more than 100 yards above the ground. What is special about this canal that not very many Americans have seen?
There are a lot of things special about it. For example, it's the only one in the world that's going over land that's still used for commercial reasons. When it was built, it was originally built to transport wood, grain, other stuff from the forests of eastern Poland down to the Baltic Sea. It originally started as a commercial venture for cargo. Changed into tourism, was out of business for a while, and now it's back in business, and it attracts people from all over the world.
I mean, when you think about most canals, you're going from one lock, stepping down to another, stepping down to another. Here, you're going uphill over land.
Well, you can go downhill as well. You can go uphill or downhill.
Either way, you're going over land.
Sure, yeah. And it doesn't use a lock system, it has a system of inclined planes.
It's the world's only active inclined plane canal, powered entirely by water.
It's doing the same thing that it did 150 years ago. Nothing has changed. So that's also the beauty of the whole concept.
And they're still using it?
Still using it, sure. Yeah.
Takes you a while to get there.
Yeah, but time is on our side. You know? Look, we don't have any watches. We've got time.
I got a watch.
Ah, come on. Yeah, so life is quiet here, so it suits the pace. You know?
And then these big wheels here?
Well, they're part of the mechanism, which was originally built in the 1850s, 1860s, thereabout. And they have cables which pull carriages up and down these hills. That's all powered by water.
But when you think about the engineering going back over 100 years, almost 200 years,
okay,
that's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, yeah.
That they figured this out, and that it still works today.
You know, it was based on an American concept, but they had a canal that linked Delaware with New Jersey, and the guy who designed this, Mr. George Stanke, he went over there to see how it worked. When the boats were leaving the Morris Canal and going down into the other water, it went head first, and it was a little bit of a dangerous move. So he created a train track that it could go along the bottom of this line, and it didn't have to go head first and dive like a duck.
Now, where we are right now, this is like a cradle.
Cradle will be, this is it, a cradle, yeah, a carriage, sure, a cradle.
So we get stuck in this, we get tied up to this, and then this moves.
Yeah, this moves, and it's all done with the power of water. You know?
And the Polish government has started an extension of the Elbląg Canal, giving the boats a straight shot to the Baltic, therefore avoiding transit through Russian territory. What's this? So they hear us back there?
They hear us so they can release the water.
And they've been banging this gong since day one.
Been banging their bell all along, yeah?
Now we're moving.
Now we're cruising, yeah? yeah. Oh, don't return.
See, this is when they figure out the rides at Disneyland. Everything's on a track.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You think the American steamboat does it by itself? No. Everything at Disneyland this is how they invented the theme parks. You guys did it.
Long before Disney came around. Yeah?
Long before Disney. Yeah. This is it. This is Pirates of the Caribbean Part 3.
Hope we don't meet any of them today, eh?
Okay, now we're coming out of the water.
We're being lifted out of the water now. Okay. So the power of that water that's hitting the wheel inside, and we're being lifted to the top of the hill. And now the boat becomes a train. This is magic. Yeah. Happening in front of your eyes. It's like a cable railway. This one is empty.
But for us to go down, he's got to go up.
Sure. You know, these trailers can carry a lot of weight. The ships themselves like 50 tons weight, the big ones. And then on top of that, let's say 100 passengers. It's quite a lot of weight.
I know you are an Irishman, but what brought you here?
Love of a woman. Yeah. And then I fell in love with the place.
And you've never left?
Yeah, I've never left. And I'm not planning to leave, but, you know, I feel good here. I feel at home. Polish people are very welcoming, they're very friendly, and they're very similar to ourselves. You know, they have a history similar to ours. Yeah, they've been under the boot. It's a rural country and by nature, Catholic, you know, so we have a lot of common threads connecting us. Yeah?
The Poles like to describe the ride as sailing against nature. And they have a point. The experience is all the more remarkable because you're moving along the ground in the water using original machinery from the 19th century. It's where old-school technology intersects with a country still trying to reinvent itself. And you're moving just fast enough to appreciate what's changed and what hasn't. We're going down.
We're going down, down, down.
When most people think about Poland, mountains are usually not what come to mind, as almost the entire country is made up of flat plains. But to the south lies the Carpathian mountain range. It runs through 8 countries. It's more than 930 miles long, and on the southern border of Poland with Slovakia. And that's where you'll find the Tatras. And because its highest peaks are just half that of the Alps, it's the perfect destination for outdoor adventures all year round. In winter, the Tatras have become the prime skiing destination in the country. The terrain makes it perfect for beginners. A lot of low rolling hills, but enough of a high-end experience for the more advanced. And when the snow is just a memory, the Tatras come alive, especially if you're a hiker. No other area in Poland has such a diversity of landscapes, providing more than 40 different routes and more than 187 miles of trails. And the ski lift stubble has cable cars to help the hikers reach some of the more remote destinations. The anchor of this area is the most famous mountain resort of all of Poland, and that's the alpine village of Zakopane. It's located at the foot of the mountain, and still quite a hidden gem to the rest of the world. And it's safe to say it's not your average beyond cute mountain town. The people who live in this village are known as Poland Highlanders. They have their own culture and tradition. They have their own style of clothes, architecture, food, music, and dance. They conduct rafting trips on the Dunajec River with the same wooden rafts that have been a tradition since the early 19th century. And of course, for the more adventurous types, the Tatras also provide great mountain climbing opportunities. The Shemek Koleva is a young climbing guide, but he knows these mountains well.
I have been climbing and guiding all over Europe and some places in the world too. But I think that Tatras are one of the best that I have ever seen. They are really accessible because they are not so big. They are safe because they have no more glaciers, so the rock is solid and very nice, and they are world class.
And like just about everyone else in Poland, he has his own thoughts on where the country is headed.
Here in Poland, it's already 30 years since we make this change. Yes, we get out from communism, but it's still we have some kind of complex or something that everything what is in West is better. But now it's start to change, and we realize that we have a lot of really great places, great culture. And we can be and things that we can be proud of, and they are world class.
Well, world class or not, you're not going to find me climbing these mountains. I have a different way to get to the top. I took off from Novi Tar. It's an airfield just outside Zakopane. It's the perfect place to book a flight over the Tatras. And the pilots there are all too happy to give just about anybody a ride, even me. My captain was veteran glider pilot Wojciech Serafin. He did all the piloting. And what did I do? The sightseeing. Once the tether to the tow plane was released, the thermal lift provided by the windward side of the slope could keep us up in the air for hours. Most people don't get a chance to see Poland quite this way. And the view from above is just as impressive as from down below. But up here, you also get a true sense of history. Just beautiful. When you talk about Poland in World War II, this place is an exception. There weren't any battles fought here, but there were victories. And the victories were that the mountains were used to smuggle as many people out of Poland as they could. It was the pipeline. Gliding for me is at least as close as you can come to being a bird. You're banking like a bird. You're climbing like a bird. And with only the sound of the wind to remind you that you're actually moving at about 80 miles an hour. Doesn't get any prettier than this. The mountains here have a mythical presence in Polish folklore, and they tell the story of the sleeping knights. If you look at the mountains just the right way, it appears to be 6 or 7 sleeping knights. And what's that symbolism? That if the population is ever attacked, the knights will wake up and defend them. The last I heard, they're still sleeping. But it's a story often told and often embellished. On the way over the mountain, we passed the chairlifts and the gondolas for the ski lift, and I was harshly reminded that I don't ski. Now, I do ride a mean lift, but I don't ski. But I do glide, and so coming down the mountain this way was my preferable method of descent.
Nicely done.
Okay.
You know why?
No.
We landed.
Ah, that's great.
Thanks to my pilot Wojciech. But you know what they say? Anytime you can walk away unscathed after a flight is a very good day. But this was a very good flight and a very good day. Bleak gray buildings, a depressing communist cityscape, is what always seemed to define Warsaw for me. But when communism fell, things changed. New gleaming buildings were constructed with cutting-edge design. And then came a surprise expression of freedom: ice cream. That's right. The Poles went nuts for ice cream, especially gelato. And now I can't go to Warsaw without getting my fix. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Oh, Peter, good. How are you?
Nice to be back in Warsaw.
All right, nice to have you here. Welcome to the best ice cream parlor in Warsaw.
Okay.
Natural homemade stuff.
Wow.
Just enjoy it. Thank you, sir.
Enjoy it.
All right. Steve Spear came to Poland on a business exchange program nearly 25 years ago, and he never left.
The program actually only lasted 15 months. And then I thought, well, I was enjoying it here, so I'll stay another year. And then I'll stay another year. And then I met a nice gal and settled down, started a family, and decided to stay here.
And this is where you live now?
Yes, this is where I live.
What is it about Poland that keeps you here?
Well, many things. I mean, for one, the people. The people are great. They're friendly. They're entrepreneurial. They're adapting to changes in the world and what's going on. But also from a business perspective, I saw from early on that this country was going to develop well. Was going to develop economically.
And Steve has benefited from that economic boom. He now has a company that produces a line of vegan and gluten-free baked goods. And in a land of pierogi and kielbasa, it's something I didn't quite expect to see in Poland. In the meantime, he's adapted quite well to the Polish lifestyle. The other thing about the Polish cities is they're manageable by bicycle. You can get anywhere.
Yes, I bicycle a lot. Every year I bicycle about 2,000 kilometers.
So you're going to kick my ass in biking today?
Well, I think we'll take it easy, but yeah, I'm looking forward to riding with you.
Warsaw's a pretty bikeable city.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. There's over 350 miles of bike paths in Warsaw alone.
Wow.
And I'm going to take you to a very special one. So back when I came here in 1995, this was just an old concrete slab right here. It was dark, it was dim. And now you see it's beautiful, it's developed. People are out having a good time. And it's a whole different atmosphere here now than it was back in mid-90s.
But when you came here, you didn't speak any Polish.
No, I didn't. And actually, I met my wife by not speaking Polish. I was shopping in a supermarket, and I'm a food label reader, and I needed some help. I saw her. I asked her for some help. She was very helpful, I could say. And then I asked her out, and the rest is history. We've been married now for 22 years.
Not a bad way. I should go shopping more often. And everywhere we rode, we were surrounded by construction cranes, often called the official birds of Warsaw, and emblematic of a city in rapid transformation, with perhaps one glaring exception.
You know, after World War II, Stalin gave Poland a choice. Would they like a building or would they like a metro system? Well, of course, the people of Poland wanted a metro system, but he gave them the building.
And no one who comes to Warsaw can avoid seeing it. So when you first came here, it did catch your eye, huh?
Yeah,
How could you miss it? How could you miss it?
Exactly. Yeah, because they're tall buildings, so it was just...
This was the tallest building.
Yeah, oh yeah, by far. Most Poles say that this is the best view of Warsaw.
From right up here?
Yes.
Huh.
Because this is the one place in all of Warsaw where you cannot see this building.
Huh. Pretty cool. It's often been said that a trip through Poland provides a very clear picture of the past, a remembrance of kingdoms, monarchies, wars, occupation, struggle, and recovery. But as I learned on my journey, from the little-known castles to the undiscovered seacoast, from the forests and the lakes to the artwork of once-lost cities, to the brave new world of rebuilt cities, exploring hidden Poland is a refreshing surprise and a genuine way to see and then to experience the future that Poland is now embracing. It is a journey worth taking. They exist at the threshold of history, on the precipice of a dream. Rising out of the ocean, almost without warning. Endless golden beaches, leading to lush, vibrant rainforests, and then sliding into another world of almost barren terrain. This almost insane combination of topography melds a continent's worth of landscapes, temperatures, culture, and experiences. And it's all within 8 small islands. I came here in search of history, of culture and tradition, unchanged by travel or travelers. These are the islands in the stream, separated from the rest of the world and yet accessible to those who know. And a destination where you can explore, immerse, and literally breathe, if Mother Nature lets you. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Canary Islands. They were formed millions of years ago as the violent volcanic forces of the Earth fought their way out of the depths of the ocean and broke free to the surface, birthing, one by one, an archipelago 70 miles off the northwest coast of Africa. An entirely new land, untouched by civilization, though the forces of humankind would eventually prove to be just as powerful as nature in shaping these islands' destinies. It's believed the first human settlers paddled over from Africa around 2,000 years ago and slowly spread across all of the islands. But it was in the 1400s, with the bloody arrival of Spanish conquerors, that the modern course of the Canary Islands was set. By the end of the 15th century, they became part of Spain, making Spanish the language of the land. And it was Christopher Columbus's last port of call before setting out to accidentally discover a new world, intrinsically linking the Canaries and the Caribbean, and eventually making the islands a jumping-off point for travel to the Americas. But ironically, today, the Canary Islands are a mystery to most travelers who are unfamiliar with their location, or even the meaning of the name, derived not from the bird, but from the Latin word for dog, Canarius. Because of its location and year-round temperate climate, it's a regular vacation destination for many Europeans. But as you look closer at these islands, past the beaches and resorts, you find rich cultures shaped by the diverse blend of its residents, who think of themselves as having a European mind and a Caribbean soul. I started my journey near the middle of the archipelago, in Tenerife. This is the largest of the Canary Islands and the most populated. It exemplifies the Canary's reputation for permanent good weather, earning the nickname the Island of Eternal Spring. It's the most visited island and has sometimes been called the Cancun of Europe. Travelers hopping on a short flight to head directly for a beachside hotel. And as beautiful as those beaches are, some sandy gold, some black from the volcanic soil, that's not where you're going to find the soul of Tenerife. It's in the land outside of the capital. And in Tenerife, it's not just what's on the island, but what surrounds the island. It's the ocean. You can whale watch here, and there are companies that will do that for visitors. But you can find a more private experience, one with a purpose. With her company Whalewise Eco Tours, Mercedes Reyes brings travelers to these waters west of Tenerife, an area officially accredited as a whale heritage site. It's a program that recognizes destinations that practice responsible and sustainable whale watching.
Piece of cake,
Right there.
literally.
There they are,
Right there.
For Mercedes, that means powering a boat with as small of a footprint as possible. Her boat's equipped with a combination of solar panels and low CO2 and electric engines, in addition to cameras and a whole array of state-of-the-art technology.
Even with all that equipment, you never know when you're going to find the whales.
Yeah. For that we need our eyes. 1/3 of all the whales and dolphins of the species of the world can be seen here. We are next to a main migration route, a main current of the ocean.
Everybody's coming through here.
Everybody's coming. We're the nice restaurant in the middle of the highway.
Oh,
right here.
Look at this.
A mom and a baby.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
And today, the first animals we spotted were dolphins.
Right there, right there.
Right there.
Here they come, here they come. Whoa.
Hello,
Yeah.
I came to say hi.
Yeah, they're playing with us now.
As we approach the spot where the whales frequently hunt for squid, you just shut the engine down, go into electric. The silence takes over. And then listen for the sound of the water spouting from the whales. And you look for the fins breaking the surface. That's the only sound you hear.
Look, Peter, there they are. Right straight ahead.
Oh, I see them. They just came out of the water, right
yeah,
there.
they're resting on the water. You see them?
This is not just a typical tourist photo op. You're part of something bigger than that. You're an active part of a research operation here.
We are collecting data for many projects here, for the government and our own projects. Basically, there's so much things that we want to do, but we're focusing on conservation first.
As part of the data collection, you even get the chance to eavesdrop on the whales' conversation.
This is the hydrophone. It's gonna pick up the sounds of the whales, and now we can listen. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the juveniles talking?
Yeah, and when they repeat the signal, it could be mother calf calling.
It's a whale boombox.
Yes.
And I think they're even calling my name. So we headed back near the shore, where it was safer for me and the animals, so I could take a closer look at the wildlife in this amazing underwater world. But the true surprise of Tenerife is actually an unavoidable one. Just about everywhere you are, on the water, at the beach, in the forest, you find yourself looking up at the largest mountain in Spain. This is Mount Teide. It soars so high that a sea of clouds forms below it. And it's the central feature of Teide National Park, the source of the untouched lava flows, hardening and layering together to create this stunning landscape. It is this alien-like terrain that has made Teide National Park the most visited site in the Canaries. But the locals know when to go. That's when the sun sets and the tourists leave. By day, it's imposing, but by night, it hides a bigger secret. This is an officially designated Starlight Destination and Reserve, one of the finest places on Earth to view the clear, dark skies.
So quiet.
Yes, at the end of the day, we can discover the sound of silence.
Juan Ledesma, a local astronomy teacher, brought me to a quiet pocket of the park called the San Jose Mines, where the terrain transports you to other worlds.
This is really about as close as you can get to a moonscape.
Or even Mars.
The landscape of the national park is so similar to Mars that they field tested the rovers here, preparing to explore the distant red planet. But here, the celestial bodies feel very close.
The day has gone, and just we can see Venus and Jupiter, 2 planets overhead.
With the naked eye.
Naked eye, of course.
And Juan had an array of technology to bring us even closer. Astronomical binoculars.
Oh my God.
A specialized astrophotography camera.
So you can see all the craters.
Yeah.
And even some of the old seas, right?
Yes, surrounding the craters.
And a Dobsonian telescope, optimized for viewing faint, distant objects.
Tonight we can see planet Jupiter. It's amazing because it's like a bright dot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the center of the eyepiece.
Where we are right now is ideal for dark sky viewing.
Yes. Most days we have clear skies.
In this one spot, you can see the majority of the 88 constellations, both northern and southern hemispheres, and mostly everything else in the heavens as well.
The International Space Station is just rising from the south.
There it goes. He's moving fast.
It's moving so fast, about 15,000 miles an hour or so.
It never gets old, right?
No.
What are the lessons that you learn here? When you come out here, what has it taught you?
We are not in the center of the universe. We must be humble.
Once you put it in perspective, you realize how small you really are. Just a short plane ride away is a continent in miniature, Gran Canaria. From the moment you land, you can't miss the differing landscapes, microclimates, and yes, different cultures. You can attend a symphony in the city, while just a few miles away, residents are living in caves, keeping old traditions alive. What sets Gran Canaria apart is the cosmopolitan capital of Las Palmas, the most populated city in the Canaries. In one corner of the city is the Old Town neighborhood, Vegeta. Here, the Spanish influence is so strong, it feels like you're walking through a European city. And who better to be my guide than someone born and raised here, like Germán Lopez, who has gone on to become a world-renowned musician.
And I think that to grow up in a place like this is very special because you have at the same time you live in a small town, in a small place, but the Canary Islands are very connected with Europe and America. So you live in a small place, but your influences are huge.
The Temple was born out of the Canaries, as is the music Germán plays on it. The islands inspire him as a performer, and even though he travels the world, he always comes back home.
I play the timple, a small guitar, a local instrument, but the music I feel is international music.
He took me to one of his favorite places, Santana Square.
And this is one of the most beautiful places in the city. And look at this, our cathedral.
Wow, what a building.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And tucked around the corner is a site of great significance to us here in the Americas.
This is a very important building in this city because it's the last place where Christopher Columbus left to the New World.
This is the last place he was?
Yeah. So this is very important for us, and it's a very beautiful one.
It's magnificent.
Yeah.
But it has a different significance for Germán. This was the location of his first concert, and since he takes his instrument everywhere he goes, it was only fitting for a repeat performance.
You know that the first time never forget.
The music that comes out of the small little string instrument is delicate. It's soothing. It's enchanting. And then you give it a sense of place as to where you're listening to it in, and it takes on new meaning.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Germán has been a gifted player since he was a child, but you're never too old to start learning.
Okay, I put it on.
And you know that, look to your eyes, I know that you are a great musician. Try it.
A duet?
Let's
Okay,
go.
here we go.
Wow.
Did I do okay?
Yeah. You are a great
Liar.
student. You are a great student. My best.
Total liar. On the outskirts of Las Palmas is an unusual urban beach. A 2-mile stretch of golden sand, lined by a boardwalk full of cafes and restaurants. Here's where you'll find the longtime locals, mixed in with the newly arrived digital nomads, who discover they can work from anywhere, and also play from right here.
We decided that living in a city and being stuck down to one place when you could be out here on the beach.
It's a small town neighborhood of Las Palmas where everybody's connecting to the beach, it's connected to the lifestyle, it's connected to the surf.
Born and raised steps away from the beach, Guillermo Morales Mateos knows just about everybody here. And he also knows what attracts them.
This beach is unique in the world because we have a reef, a barrier. When the low tide goes down, it's like a massive swimming pool.
Guillermo has created the perfect lifestyle for himself, to work and play all at the same time. Running paddleboard classes,
Y el cuerpo aquí abajo, ¿vale? Eso es. Ahí. Ahí, por la izquierda, no bajes tanto el cuerpo. Sí, estuvimos en toda la zona esa de ahí.
If you want the best experience on Gran Canaria, all you have to do is ask.
Meet the locals, meet the culture. We have beach, we have the people. People from Gran Canaria and the whole Canary Island have a really warm heart. They will hug you, they will kiss you. And yeah, it's the place to be. It's the place to be.
Well, it's certainly one of the places to be, out here on El Hierro. It feels like you've reached the end of the world. It's the westernmost Canary Island, the farthest from mainland Spain. And it feels remote even from its neighboring islands. El Hierro is quiet, more rural, but the natural beauty is no less magnificent. The gnarled juniper trees shaped by years of trade winds, bonanza rock rising out of the water, the pathways winding through forests. Here at the world's edge, El Hierro is working towards creating its own brave new world, and for all its residents of all sizes. The name Giant Lizards of El Hierro may make you think of something. Well, giant. And they are, relatively speaking. Roughly 3 pounds bigger than other species in their lizard family. But even more remarkable than their size is their comeback story.
Well, the Hierro giant lizard was rediscovered in 1975.
Pretty recent.
Yeah, but they near the extinction.
Like a real-life Jurassic Park, Miguel Rodriguez runs the Center for the Recovery of the El Hierro Giant Lizard. The mission? To undo humanity's past destruction. The facility is nestled at the base of the mountains that the lizards call home.
Vapes, the original inhabitant of the islands, feed on.
So they used to eat them all?
Yes.
And now?
And now the problem are the feral cats, the principal predator.
So they're eating them?
Yes.
They had once thrived all over the island. But in addition to overhunting, the lizards had their habitat destroyed by the Spanish invaders. They're still endangered.
Yes, of course, yes.
In 1985, their rescue began, using science to make this nearly extinct species roam the earth once again.
Right now, we have an ambitious recovery program where we release the lizards into their former habitats.
Here, the lizards are studied and bred in captivity. In addition, the center is open to the public, so visitors can learn about the giant lizards up close and in person. Okay. Back at the center, I was invited to assist in the lizard intake process, starting with measuring and weighing. Whoa! It's one thing to observe an animal, it's another thing to participate in its preservation. 439.
49, okay.
I'd never handled an animal like that before. Okay. And I certainly had never inserted an electronic chip like that before. How far do I go down?
Yes. Behind the skin, okay.
Right there?
Okay.
Right there?
Okay, yeah. Okay, okay, perfect.
That's it, we got it?
Yeah.
Okay. It was pretty wild. Ladies and gentlemen, Lizard GPS. In Miguel's 25 years on the island, he's seen the population of giant lizards grow from 100 to 800, but the work must continue to make them self-sustaining.
At the moment, they depend on us. The idea is that, in the future, they can reproduce on their own and survive without the help of humans.
This is the ultimate goal.
To set them free. As proof that the population is growing, here's one more lizard that's ready for life on the outside. Whoa! He's gone. The great beauty of El Hierro is what surrounds it. Endless rugged rock formations, birthed by lava flows and shaped by the relentless pounding waves. One of the more striking spots along the water is called Charco Azul, or Blue Puddle, an untouched natural pool, protected by lava barriers from the crashing waters. Though there are just a few travelers who've come to take in the natural beauty, today I have my sights set on a smaller wonder. And at low tide, they reveal themselves. Limpets, small sea creatures scraped from the rocks by locals. Alejandro Morales has been gathering limpets here all his life, and I wanted to join him. I really wanted to join him, because it was quite the journey to get to meet him. A man of few words, but years of wisdom and experience. Alejandro led me down to an even more challenging route, towards the rocks, where we'll finally find those limpets. So it's like a clam or a mussel?
It's the mussel. It's the, in the Hierro, it's the delicacy.
Oh, just like that? He's like this?
Yes.
Wow. So you can eat these raw?
Yes, it's very, very sweet.
It's okay?
It's okay.
Not bad.
Yes.
On the half shell. You've heard of farm to table? How about rock to table? Alejandro prepared a mojo sauce for an outdoor grilling experience, starting with some garlic, then parsley, adding some olive oil, then grinding it to a paste, filling the grill with limpets, and adding the mojo. And now, light it up. The wood's right from Magee.
Yes, recollection with the...
Already sizzling.
Yeah, it's very, very fast.
That was good. Con cuidado.
Con cuidado. Eh?
Not too hot?
Yeah.
Wow.
Delicious.
Delicious. It's a scallop, it's a mussel, it's a clam, and it's right here in El Hierro.
It's the life.
It is the life. For my next island, I chose to go by ferry to La Palma, tucked in the northwest corner of the archipelago. As you approach from the east, the island looks beautiful and serene. But hidden behind the mountain ridge, on the island's western half, the scene is anything but peaceful.
Están viendo imagen en directo, imagen aérea que nos llega de ese volcán de Cumbre Vieja que sigue en erupción desde las 3:13 de la tarde de ayer.
Back in 2021, the initial news reports were both vivid and shocking. The first volcanic eruption in the Canaries in 50 years. It's awe-inspiring, and it's frightening. But how do you understand this? Put it in context. I connected with local volcanologist Nera Sanchez Jimenez. She's been studying volcanoes like this for years. In fact, this is her life.
It's one thing to know that you are living in a volcanic island. It's another thing is to realize that you have a volcano under your feet.
And that volcano is expanding the size of the island foot by foot. It's a marvel of nature's power that also brings great destruction.
Yes, the volcano erupted in one place where there are a lot of houses. More than 1,000 houses has been destroyed, but also I think there are more than 8,000 people that has been evacuated.
It's one thing to watch something erupt. It's another thing to hear it.
people are really surprised for the sound of the volcano. Some days ago, the volcano was doing a noise like boom, 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 all the time. It is surprising and sometimes it's bothering. Yeah, we don't know when it is finishing, but I would like that people realize that the destruction of the volcano, the consequences, and maybe the opportunity for the future.
And for Neres, in addition to learning about the volcano, she's also found insight on the people of La Palma.
When people have lost everything, you talk with them and they still say that, well, this is, things happen and we have to stand up again and go on. So I think this is the most important thing.
The ash blanketing the ground has temporarily dulled some of La Palma's natural beauty, some of the greenest, luscious areas of the Canaries. The sloping hills, the pine trees clinging to the mountainsides, that contrast with the barren vistas on the southern half of the island. Atop the mountain ridges, a series of telescopes take advantage of La Palma's minimal light pollution to scan the heavens, including the largest optical telescope in the world. Down by the water, much of the coastline is rocky, attracting only scattered beachgoers. And overall, La Palma is one of the least visited of the Canary Islands, relying heavily on agriculture for its economy, an industry heavily impacted by the recent volcano.
This is amazing. This is all ash.
Yes, we stay near more than 6 kilometers from the volcano, and all the days have something like this. Over the cars, over the plantation, the volcano affects all the island.
But still, you're growing bananas.
Yeah.
Fran Garlas is a farmer at one of La Palma's 5,000 banana plantations, which account for nearly 30% of the island's economy. And if you ask the right person, they're all too happy to share what makes Canarian bananas different from any others in the world. So this is all the bananas.
Yes, this is the banana, under the banana leaves, one of the biggest leaves in the earth. This plant needs a lot of water, about 20 liters per day. It's a big plant and grows so quick.
But why do they grow so well here?
Good sun, good water, and good minerals for nutritional plants. These bananas are so sweet, so nutritive bananas, and so tasty.
On top of the great growing conditions, the bananas require a little personal care. And you just might get enlisted to help.
We need cut with a little knife all these flowers, one by one, by hand.
One by one?
One by one.
Every banana gets this personal touch. And maybe that's why the people on this island insist they're the tastiest bananas in the world. Though it may also be because this strain of banana has a much higher percentage of sugar. But these bananas are also challenged. All that sweetness disappears if the banana skin is damaged by volcanic ash.
We can see the ashes. We move the plants.
Oh my goodness.
To fall down.
Does it hurt the bananas?
Yeah. Destroy the skin. Normally, in this society, we eat by the eyes. The banana skin have a lot of damage. It's not useful for the market.
And the ash isn't the only problem. The lava has burned through hundreds of acres of plantations and cut off essential irrigation systems.
The lava destroy the pipes, and we haven't got water in the other side. Then the bananas are so dry.
Between destroyed land and ruined crops, the volcano has caused an estimated $116 million in damage to La Palma's banana industry, affecting 1 out of every 3 plantations.
Be careful with the ashes. Oh, this is the volcanic problems.
If you're picking bananas, you're picking ashes too. Wow.
Yeah, 60 kilograms, so about.
No kidding. For those who depend on bananas for their livelihood, they persevere with their backbreaking work, even in the face of a volcano.
Thanks, Peter.
Whoa!
Love. Oh, the first one. Okay.
That was one.
Yeah, one of them.
And that is a shower.
So.
The hope is that the ash won't be falling. As you're watching this, there's a good chance the eruptions may have ended. But beneath these natural wonders of La Palma, there remains a volcano, just waiting to erupt again. It has always been difficult to reach the island of La Gomera. The steep hillsides that greet you upon arrival look inhospitable, and indeed, La Gomera was mostly cut off from the other islands and the world at large until the 1950s, when the construction of a pier opened the door to travelers. But the true cultural distinction of La Gomera was born out of its isolation and distinctly challenging terrain. The rugged, soaring cliffs and deep valleys may make for beautiful photo ops, but imagine what it must have been like before cell phones, or even landlines for that matter, to communicate over distances as far as 3 miles away, village to village. Well, that's where the ancient language of Silbo-Gomera comes in. There are a handful of other whistling languages in the world, but none as developed as this.
The whistle translates spoken words into the whistle language. We are not whistling a code, but we are whistling in Spanish. It was very important to the people on the islands because it prevented them from walking long distances. Things that would take a 2-hour road trip could now be done in a matter of seconds.
Juan Manuel teaches this old, traditional communication art form to school kids all over the island.
The Gomorin whistle is mandatory in all schools on the island, from the 1st grade of elementary school to the 4th grade of high school. Thanks to that, we have a high level of whistling among the students and a high percentage of whistlers.
I came in just in time to catch a whistling class in progress.
Muy buena. Él es Peter.
What is this? And what looks easy? Trust me, it's not.
Forma, the finger like this, okay? Yes, the lips. My grandfather.
But you need to put the points more into
like this?
Yeah.
Stop that laughing. Today, those born before 1950 were taught by the elders at home. But due to the advancement of modern conveniences, the language almost died out.
It is important to preserve the whistle. If we do not teach it to the younger people today, the older people, the ones who still know the whistle, will eventually disappear. And so will the whistle. The idea is that these new generations will continue to pass the knowledge on to the future generations, and thus preserve this almost hidden language.
Would you like to say something in my ear?
Oh, sure. You have a very beautiful island. It's one thing to make a sound. It's another thing to understand what they're saying. I failed at both. I am a bad whistler. If you want to try your hand and mouth learning Silbo, there are a few old-timers left that are all too happy to show you how it's done, to learn it and respect it. Which means?
You like the Gomera?
Do I like Gomera? I love Gomera. All right. The main activity on La Gomera is hiking, and people travel from all over the world to explore Garahane National Park, a lush forest blossoming out of the volcanic soil and nurtured by the flowing springs and streams.
La Gomera is pure nature. It's so clean, there's no pollution.
And not that many people know about it.
No, which is a good thing.
So this is your special place.
Yes, it's my magic enchanted forest.
There are very, very few American expats on this island. Karen Summers is one of them. She's found her own very special separate piece here, and she's happy to share it, of how a woman from Detroit shows up as an acupuncturist in the middle of this island.
About 25 years ago, I came to visit my mother on holiday, because my mother's English, and she was living in Tenerife. I got to the islands, and they're just, you've seen the air, the light, they're magical. I just had to come back and stay.
And you've been here ever since?
Yes. And even when I thought, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going somewhere else, I always come back.
Within minutes of talking to her, you understand completely why she fell in love here, and even more importantly, why she stays here.
You're always in contact with nature. Where I live right now, it's like 5 minutes I'm on the beach, 20 minutes I'm up in the mountains. I'm not here for the nightlife or the discotheques. There isn't any. I'm here for this, the nature, to be able to walk in the forest.
And what gets me is the quiet.
There's no sound other than the stream.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I mean, stop a second. That's it.
For Karen, La Gomera became her destiny. Simple as that.
So do you know, when I was studying in San Francisco, I used to doodle all day on my notes, palm trees and beaches, and I wanted to go live on an island where I could go snorkeling in the morning and hiking in the afternoon. And a friend phoned me the other day I hadn't seen in years, and she said, Karen, you did it.
You know what? I think you did.
I think I did.
I know you did.
Sitting the closest to Africa's shore is Fuerteventura, the second largest of the island. The locals here will argue that it's got the finest beaches in the Canaries. And if you don't like the beach, then you better love the desert, because it's everywhere. The name Fuerteventura has two accepted translations: strong adventure, fitting for those who dare to explore the arid island interior, or strong wind, and that wind is used to drive technology, both new and old. At the end of this dusty road resides a still functioning windmill, La Molina Amasada. The blades turning a giant millstone are used to produce gofio, a grain roasted and ground into a toasty flour that has nourished Canarians for thousands of years. The man who owns it is Francisco Cabrera Oramas, about the last of his kind.
Being the last and only gofio windmill owner in the world, I am the last one who still maintains its tradition and legacy.
Francisco has mastered this centuries-old technology, and assisted by Andre Iancu, he's able to respond perfectly to the ever-changing winds. And Francisco does what he can to bring that wind.
Every time I get the windmill started, I pray to God. I feel there's someone helping me move forward and even giving me good wind.
Today, most gofio is made in factories, but Francisco is dedicated to preserving the old ways.
I want to share this legacy that our ancestors shared with me, to ensure that it is not lost.
Gofio can be made with wheat, but today we're using locally grown corn. And before it can be ground, it first has to be toasted. But remember, this is old school, using very old school equipment, all done by hand. To help heat up the toasting pan, he adds a thin layer of sand.
The sand absorbs humidity from the cereals. That's why it's so important. More.
Más rápido.
Rápido, okay.
Eso es.
A stir.
Vuelta, sisa.
Okay, vuelta,
It's really a thing of feeling, because if not, you burn everything. Wow. And this is the last part. Of course, we don't want to eat the sand. We want to cook with sand, but not to eat the sand.
Así, quitamos la arena.
A shake.
This is ancient popcorn. Smells like popcorn.
And a pour.
Okay, I got two thumbs up now. Okay.
There's a lot to be said for old school. This is old school on parade. This is the way they've been doing it for hundreds of years. And it's nice to see they still are.
When the wind is good for grinding, I load the hopper with grain and open the shuttle. And the grain starts feeding down slowly and falling onto the stone. And when it is grinding, I need to touch the gofio so that I ensure it has the ideal texture. It's something that I share with anyone who comes nearby.
And if you time it right, you might just get dessert. It's called paella de gofio.
Can put a little bit gofio inside.
Bastante?
Sí.
Un poquito más o un poquito más.
Más.
Oh, más.
Add a little water.
Un chorrito de aceite.
That's called shaking the stomach. I got it.
Exactly.
A little oil.
Shaking.
Some sugar. And here comes the surprise move.
And this, you have to put it on your leg.
You mix it on your leg?
and the heat of your leg, and so you mix it on your leg.
Eso.
Exactly.
Eso. Ooh, my leg is feeling
It's
good.
like plastering, like, yeah.
What is the result of all this hard work? My first paella de gofio. And with a few cuts...
It's sweet, it's good.
It's sweet, toasty, it's delicious.
It is toasty.
It doesn't get more artisanal and authentic than this. The same wind that powers this mill also endlessly sculpts the Parque Natural de las Dunas de Coralejo, the largest sand dunes in the Canaries, coming in at more than 6 miles long and more than 1.5 miles wide. Rumor has it that the sand was blown here from Africa and the Sahara Desert. But that story still remains an island myth. Another rumor that there's so much sand here, they invented another way to use it. Welcome to Lucha Canaria, a form of folk wrestling that exists only in and among the Canary Islands. The earliest natives started it, and the first written record of it was around Columbus's time. Today, it remains a major draw amongst the locals.
Right now, it's a big boom. It's like it went through years here in Fuerteventura. Most you'd like see, 200, 300, 400 people in a match. And now you can get up to 3,000, 4,000 people in an entire stadium. It's crazy, it's crazy.
Jake Fuller is one of those up-and-coming stars. Interestingly enough, not a native Canarian.
My parents moved here from England when I was 6 years old. They used to go to the schools and they used to do like little exhibitions of showing the kids what Lucha Canaria is. I tried it there and I liked it, and from there I'm still doing it.
Today, he proudly wrestles for the Federación de Lucha Fuerteventura, where I stop by at a wrestling practice. I've seen my share of wrestling, both professional and fixed. This is a whole different approach. And Jake was all too happy to share with me the finer points of Canarian wrestling.
How are you, Jake?
Hey, perfect, yeah.
This is quite a sport.
Yes.
And why is this different from other kinds of wrestling?
If you compare it to the American one, say in a way, it's here you're always in contact.
Whoa.
If you can see, you're only touching the sand with your bottom of your feet. Once your knees, your hands, something touches the sand, you're...
The minute you hit the sand, you're done.
You're done.
So at the end of the day, if you're removing sand from orifices of your body, you're a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah. And down.
One thing's watching it, one thing's trying it. So why don't you go and get suit up and I'll wait for you in the center.
You want me to do this?
I want you to be in the center with me. Nice.
All right, I've been challenged, and I guess I couldn't refuse. But I had no idea what I was in for.
Do not kill me.
No, don't bother.
All right, so what are we doing?
Okay, now, left arm to always on the track.
On yours, right there?
And on this one, now you come down, but this arm you can either get the other side, or you can come up to my back if you want. However you want.
So I can do this?
You can do that, anything, but you always got to be, stick your shoulder to my shoulder, right. And we go over here.
Jake gently walked me through the basic technique of this kind of wrestling.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you can go there.
But it didn't prepare me for how fast it was going to be before I was eating sand.
But this is the thing, you got to...
This is a perfect example of trying something out of your comfort zone. Although I've got to warn you, you're also going to immerse yourself in the sand. I think I have to thank Jake for being a really good sport and not putting me in orthopedic surgery.
I'm going to quit while behind.
To the north of Fuerteventura sits Lanzarote, the easternmost island in the Canaries. In the 1700s, the island was rocked by devastating eruptions, and the carved, severe landscape still reflects its volcanic past. At the coast, water splashes over Lanzarote's distinctive black pebble beaches. But there is also life that springs from this blackened soil. In the La Hedia Valley of Lanzarote, you'll see these bizarre, semicircle structures. These are wind barriers to protect the grapes in vineyards unlike any other in the world. But even after the annual harvest, the work never stops. Daniel Martin at Los Bajemos Winery has the labor-intensive job of kickstarting the next harvest.
This is the first grape.
Look at that. It's really amazing that anything grows from the ashes.
We are in the middle of the volcanoes of Lanzarote. In 1730 to 1736, all of these volcanoes erupt and cover all of this part with the volcanic aces.
Prior to those eruptions, Lanzarote had green, fertile fields. But this new darkened terrain turned out to be nutrient-rich. And that's not all. The soil here is actually deceptive, with no apparent irrigation. But then you grab a shovel, and you dig less than a foot down.
The water is here.
That's wet.
Yeah.
You didn't have to dig down. That's just right there.
Yeah. The ashes retain the humidity of the night and the precipitation of 6 months ago.
After the eruptions, the farmers found that the grapes not only survived, they thrived. With the primary vine grown here named, appropriately enough, volcanic malvoisie.
This is the only place in the world that grows this type.
So, no Cabernet, no Merlot.
No, only volcanic malvoisie.
The vine is planted at the bottom of a hole, providing additional protection from the trade winds. And today, Daniel put me to work, pruning vines and repairing walls, built of an endless supply of lava stone rocks.
Yeah, how do you like that?
Yeah.
All right, so we fixed one. How many more to go out there?
Thousands of them. Yeah.
These fields require a lot of labor, so the yield is lower than traditional wineries. But once the grapes are harvested, processed, and then aged in French oak barrels, the taste is distinctly Canary.
All right. Salute. It's sweet.
Yes, really sweet.
Like a sherry.
Like a sherry.
Yeah. With a bouquet of ash.
This is for you.
Wow, okay. Nice bottle. And you know what? I know exactly where I'm taking this.
Yeah.
I took his gift and headed west. All of the Canary Islands have a volcanic history, but nowhere is it more pronounced than here, in Timanfaya National Park. During that 6-year eruption in the 1730s, rivers of lava sculpted the terrain. It is indeed a long and winding road through a lunar landscape that once you see it, you never forget it. You could take a guided bus tour up here, which also stops at a restaurant called El Diablo, where the tourists get a demonstration of the heat that still simmers below the surface. But if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone else, you can avoid the crowds and see the desert and feel the heat a whole different way.
Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, Peter, long time no see. Nice to see you.
Well, I brought the wine.
I caught the fish.
Christopher E. Roosevelt, originally from California, now lives full-time here on this island, a committed expat.
We're not eating at the restaurant?
Nope. I got a better idea over here. You wait and see.
What is that?
That's a barbecue. Oh, that's very, very hot. That's geothermal heat coming up from the ground. And you can ask, and they'll let you have a barbecue here in the national park.
So that's exactly what we did.
All right.
Christopher prepared a rooster fish, typical of the island, in the geothermal heat.
And how hot is that?
Probably about 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
That would be hot.
Yeah, that'll cook that in no time.
But there's a restaurant up there.
Yeah, they have a grill up there as well, and that was all designed by Manrique, Cesar Manrique.
Manrique is inescapable in Lanzarote. This statue is the official symbol of Timanfaya, one of many creations of this native-born artist and architect who worked throughout his life to give the island a unified architectural aesthetic.
Very cool.
That's done. You hungry?
I am.
The fish gets plated, and the wine gets poured.
Well, we got the volcanic wine. We got the volcanic fish. Pretty good pairing. What a great way to spend the day.
Peter, we're just getting started. You cannot talk about Lanzarote without talking about Cesar Manrique. Inseparable. A man with a vision, he transformed this island in all these different places. That was because of Manrique.
And Manrique's influence even extended below ground.
This is a wow.
And how, eh? Welcome to Hierro del Agua, Peter. This is a masterpiece of art and nature. It's like a Japanese grotto. It used to be just a volcanic tube. It was like a bubble, and the roof caved in. Well, they took advantage of the natural structure and completely blended it in so that you can't tell what's man-made and what's natural.
And one guy did this.
One guy, incredible visionary.
At night, this space is often used to host live music. But early in the morning, it's so quiet here.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible solitude. All you can hear is just the birds sing. My favorite place on the whole island.
Hierro del Agua is one of Manrique's most celebrated efforts to turn the island itself into a work of art.
I mean, his whole thing was about art, nature, nature, art, giving back to each other. And I think that he was able to bring it all together in one thing, in his art here.
Well, I gotta tell you, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but we're not done yet here, huh? I've got one last surprise for you.
You do?
Yeah, wait until you see this.
We walked out of the lagoon through another natural beauty work of Manrique, only to be totally blown away by this.
Well, this is another wow.
Yes, this is the crown jewel of Hierro's, the auditorium. It may have the best natural acoustics in the world. And with all these nooks and crannies, the sound is absorbed, so you can hear a pin drop in here and there's no echo.
Nothing at all?
No.
Hello? Nothing.
No. And I brought some friends, and we're gonna play some music for you.
Very cool.
So go pick a seat, any seat.
Yeah, you're not kidding, literally. All right.
Okay, I'll see you later.
You got it.
Christopher often performs with his band, made up of some of the finest musicians in the Canaries. It's one thing to admire the unbelievable architecture and design of this natural acoustic wonder. It's another when they start playing. This is unplugged at its best. It's a unique blend of Spanish and African sounds, some Arabic thrown in, otherwise known as volcanic fusion. It's perhaps the perfect way to experience this amazing space and sound.
What is this?
My final stop is just a short ferry ride away to La Graciosa, just off the northern tip of Lanzarote. It's only 5 miles long, the smallest of the islands. It was actually part of Lanzarote until 2018, when it officially became the 8th Canary Island. It's the least populated island, with only 700 residents, and you won't find any paved roads. So grabbing a bike is the way I like to explore the island. The real beauty of La Graciosa is nothing. That's right, nothing. It's untouched. And maybe that's why I've saved the least for last. It gave me time to think about what a remarkable journey this had been, to 8 separate islands where the culture and history have been kept very much alive. I was given this window into the ocean world, confronted the island's raw destructive power, and then witnessed its surprising natural potential. Immersed myself in its native music, embraced local delicacies, and then embraced the locals themselves. Played a part in restoring an indigenous species and preserving an ancient language. And the time to catch up on my own. I brought along some US newspapers to read, but seeing those stories about the state of the rest of the world convinced me that it might just be a better idea to stick around just a little while longer in La Graciosa, surrounded by the silence, as well as being embraced by the hidden majesty of the Canary Islands.